Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. How are we all doing? Just check everything is working all right, and we've got no issues. Looks good to me. I'm just going to close this part of the window. There we are. Block out the outside noise a bit more. Right. Got a couple of things that we're going to go through today. First and foremost, obviously being that Sextract Summit next week. Now, this is a particularly exciting one for me, being the first one that I'll be going to, and also, I've contributed to some of the setup and organisation. I've also, handled quite a lot of the speakers, and I think that it's going to be really interesting. There's going to be some great speakers this year. I'm also going to be participating myself in some kind of capacity, and there'll also be what I think is going to be a pretty cool reveal from us on the second day. Now, for those of you who are able to come down to Austin, that's great. We'll see you there, and make sure you come and say hello. For those of you that can't make it for travel reasons or whatever, it's going to be, day 2 will be streamed live for free. So we're going to put it up. There'll be a link and it will go through. There'll be a page somewhere where you can come and watch the whole thing free of charge. We've done it slightly differently this year in that respect, because we wanted to make it a bit more accessible to everybody. So that's the case. It's going to be live and available to all. There'll be a link posted out around that you can just go and have a look and check and see the runners and the riders for that day. So let's just check the analytics. Let's see how we get on with the bit rate. It says I'm streaming a bit too high, but I think I did this like the last time before anyway. So there's lots going on. I'm on here somewhere. I think it's going to be really exciting. So if you're coming, make sure you come and say hello. If not, we'll be live streaming. Now, the second thing that I want to cover today is there's a Scrapy add-on, an extension that I think is extremely underutilized, and I'm not entirely sure why. Well, that's not necessarily totally true. I kind of understand why, but I also don't, because as soon as I took 20 minutes to read through and understand it, it made total sense to me. I wanted to demonstrate it a bit here and hopefully kind of see if I can show why I think it's really useful and why I think it's beneficial, and then try and bring the uptake on using it and seeing usage increase. So what it is essentially when we create a simple spider, and the example here kind of shows you very simple, I'm sure we're all very familiar with this, is that all of the logic for everything is in the same class. Now, this does work, obviously. Many spiders have been built like this and they work just fine. However, separating out the extraction logic gives us some key benefits. I should turn this off. Now, those basically mean that what we can do is we can have it so that we have more control over the parsing logic, the extraction logic here. Now, this example is so basic, it's kind of hard to see what we're trying to achieve with it, right? So it's a little bit more difficult to kind of get that feeling. But basically what it means is, by splitting it out, we have individual fields that we can control. We have the ability to add and remove fields much easier. We separate it out from the spider so we can essentially build spiders much quicker and easier. And something that I haven't actually tried yet, but you can do single spider multiple sites, and this allows you to make those configuration. And within the Scrapy Poet extension, which is based on WebPoet, we have the ability to have some really cool features that basically just make your life much, much easier when building spiders. So I want to show you in this video, I want to build one up and we'll go through it, and I'll show you in the stream how I've started to use it, and maybe you'll kind of get the idea as well. So I have my empty VS Code over here, and I'm just going to make this a bit bigger. So what I'm going to do, this is just a blank folder. I'm going to use UV, and I'm going to initialize a project here. I'm going to remove the main file because I don't need it. I don't know why my VS Code goes a bit crazy like this. Let's reopen the terminal. And what we'll do is we'll do UV add, and we want Scrapy. We want Scrapy Poet, and we also want Scrapy Zeit API because that's what I'm going to be using to get the information from the website. So that's worked. We have this all installed now, and we can do our Scrapy start project. We need to actually activate our virtual environment. So we'll do source VMV activate, and then we can do our Scrapy start project. Perfect. Now what I've started to do is actually, it puts the Scrapy project inside another folder, but I don't really want that. So I'm just going to rename this one real quick. I kind of want it all in the main one. I'm just going to remove this, stick it in the main folder and the config file as well. And we can delete this like so. So it just makes our life a little bit easier. So what we're going to do is we'll come over to our terminal again, and we can make sure we've activated our virtual environment. And let's do Scrapy genspider and put in this URL here, this site, so we just get something going. And what did I do wrong? Didn't give it a name. Cool. So now we have this here. Now this is our basic spider. Now if we were to go ahead and fill this out properly, you know, we would probably want to put the URL in here. We'd have a pass, we'd have a pass function. We'd sort of get all the selectors and put it all together. But we're not going to do that in this instance. What we're actually going to do is we're going to create a pages folder. And we're going to use Scrapy Poet, which is Web Poet, to do so. First of all, though, we need to come over to our settings because there's a few things that we need to change, and we need to add in the Scrapy Zeit API, which I can never remember what it is. I have to, this is the most visited page for me because I can never remember this one line. We'll put this in here, and we also need the Scrapy Poet one as well. The way of putting these add-ons in is just so much easier than the old methods. It's just fantastic. I really appreciate the work going into doing that. Makes my life much easier. Cool. Let's save this. We're going to change some of this as well. I mean, we can put this up. Let's go for 16. I think that's a reasonable way. And we'll change this as well. We are not worried about that at all. I think we should be okay for the rest of this here. So because I've added this Scrapy Zeit API add-on in, and I have the Zeit API configured in my environment as per the documentation over here, I now don't need to worry about anything. It's going to handle it all for me. So we're all good in that respect. So let me just check. We're still all good over here on the bit rate. Seems to be fine. So the next thing we want to do is we want to think about our pages and how that's going to work. So if we come back, I'm just going to come back to the documentation real quick for Scrapy Poet and just go to the basic tutorial. It talks about, you know, here's your spider, you separate the extraction logic out with a web page, etc., etc. And it talks about toItem here. So let's go ahead and create our own version of this, and I'll show you how this actually looks. So we do need within our project a pages folder, and then under that I'm going to create a scan product page just so I know what this one relates to. .py file. So let's see how well Copilot works with this. So we want to do from, is it Web Poet, import web page. Then we want to do, yep, no, not quite. That's not totally what I wanted. So something we want like field. let's go back to the example. I was really hoping Copilot was going to do me a solid there and actually work, but it doesn't. So let's, oh, it's property. Okay, not field. Cool. Let's just hoof this in here and then it should know what we want. Okay, so I'm going to leave that in there, but I do want to change these. So instead of this one, I want this as well, property. So we'll have this as price, self, and this should work. Okay. So I'm going to remove the URL one. I'm not worried about that. We want the name and the price, and we'll put in, we'll call this name instead. I think that's probably a bit more of a proper name. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So what we've basically created here is the page object, and this is going to be referenced whenever we pull a page down and point Scrapy to it. This is going to take in all the information from the response, and within it, it's going to use these properties to then extract the data using the CSS selectors that we give it, and then we return with a to item, and then we can build this out. What this gives us is this is a central point where we can add in all of our parsing code related to a specific page type, because we're scraping, maybe we're scraping a whole website. We've got to go through navigation pages. We might have to go through category pages, product pages, and all this sort of stuff, right? So this is really going to give us the option to split it all out, keep it tidy, and understand that if we change something here, then it's already going to be replicated in the spider. We don't need to make changes there too. So I'm going to go ahead and find the right selectors for these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a product page. This one will be fine. And I'm going to come over to my terminal down here. And we're going to run Scrapy shell on this. And we should go through the Zeit API. Site common items. Okay. We'll add that in. I must have put something in that requires this. Not a problem. In fact, that's another library that I want to touch on at some point, because we're creating these page objects in these item schemas, but within Zeit common items, we have defaults for those that you can work with and change, save you even more time. So let's go back and run our Scrapy shell, which is this command. I don't know why my terminal's like that. It's going to complain because there's no pass. That's fine. Don't really care. So we're on a product page, so we want to actually start looking for our price and our name. So I make this a bit bigger. So this is like my least favorite part of web scraping, which is going through selectors. It's a real pain. So I've got price. Should be, here we go. So I like the look of this selector because I can pull it from the content and it's already neatly formatted in the right way. So span, item prop, price. Okay, cool. Let's go back to our code. And we'll do response. I don't know can you see it if I do this. We'll do response dot. Why is it gone? Response dot CSS. Wow, typing. And it was span and item prop, and it was price, like so. Let's check that selector out. Cool. So we can see that that's the right element. So let's go ahead and say from this we're going to want the attribute content, and I want to do .get, and that returns the information. So that's our selector right here. So I'm going to try and go copy this, and I'm going to come over to this, and we're going to put it in here, the whole thing, because obviously Copilot has just totally guessed at this. Perfect. And we want to do the same, but we want to do it for the item name, which I believe I did see up here as well. We can do the same kind of thing. H1 item prop with name, and it's actually the text. Okay, so let's put that in. So we'll just paste it in here, and we'll do H1 name, and it was text in this instance. Okay, let's grab this and paste this in here, and we get the name back. So now that I know, I'm happy that my selectors are working. Now the reason why I've used Scrapy shell is because I want to confirm my selectors against the actual HTML that Scrapy is going to see when it makes the requests, right? Because sometimes there's a difference between what you're loading up in your browser and what your actual code is going to see, what your Scrapy project is going to see. And with that sort of difference, it's just a much better way of handling it. So now I've got the correct selectors in here. We are returning to item. So what this is going to do is it's just going to take this bits of information and it's going to return this as a dictionary. Now, we probably would want to use items.py in this instance, right, and create something and then load it in, but I'm not going to do that in this case. We're just going to like handle it like this. What I need to do is grab this URL for this product and come back to our spider, and inside the pass we want to, well, actually I need to import in pages and this. What did I call it? There we go. Okay, and it's already suggested it here, right? So I can get rid of that. So all I'm doing is, when it goes to this, I need to get the save the URL in there. So it's going to go and pull our product page, and we're going to return product page and to item. So let's try run this and see what errors we get that we'll need to fix, because there probably will be some scrapey crawl products. You can see that went through the API, and here is the to item return. So we've got the price and then the name back. Now, if I was to do this, and let's say, we completed everything that we needed, and we're like, actually, we need to add in another field, it's as simple as amending this file. And once you have the selector and you've got it all set out like this, I mean, Copilot's probably going to do most of it for you and add it in, and then you can return out what you need. And this is where it becomes really powerful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you another cool thing that's another cool helper function, which is in Scrapy Poet. So I'm going to do from Scrapy Poet, we're going to import in, and it's called callback for. Now, effectively what this means is, and obviously we wouldn't really do it like this, but you could do you could do, what is it, product, callback for, like this. I think that's it. Let me double check the documentation over here. You can do it like this, right? So you can have pass, I need to call it pass because that's the callback. So whenever the spider calls the pass function, which is going to happen behind the scenes, it's going to do a callback for on this product page. So I should be able to run this again. It should just give me the same data back, right? Yep. Now, obviously this isn't useful in this instance, but it will be shortly. So let's go ahead and change this out and stop suggesting stuff that I don't need. And let's add in another page, because obviously, we don't just scrape one page, we're going to be doing multiple. So let's create a new file and let's call it product list page .pt. That's going to be interesting to try and run that. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this out, and we'll just dump this in here, and we'll call this product list page, right? Fine, I like that. Yeah, and we're going to get rid of this whole one, and we're going to return just the URL. So I'll call it product link, because we're going to go through the category page, and we'll return product link. Thank you. So now I just need to save this, and we're going to go back to our Scrapy shell, but we're going to grab the the page that's got all of the items on. So let's grab that one, and we'll do Scrapy shell on this. Again, it's going to complain that there's no pass. And let's have a quick check here. And I already opened this up when I was looking at this earlier, and I found a selector description A, right? So we'll use that. So let's check that works. So we'll do response .css, and it was, I forgot what tag it was already. Span. One of my favorite ways of handling CSS selectors is to just kind of like find one that I like the look of and use that. And it was a class. Fine. So this is a really simple selector, right? Span.description, but then we can say, give me the first A tag underneath that and give me the href attribute from it, like so, and get all. And that should return us, oh, I've got this all going on over here, a load of links. Now these aren't complete links, but that doesn't matter because we can use Scrapy to handle that for us. So I'm going to copy this selector, copy it out, come over to my product list page, scoot this down and put that in here. Like so. So now I know this is going to return me all the links for this page. Now I'm not sure if this is the best way to handle this or the optimal way, but this did work well enough for me. So I'm going to save this here. I'm going to come back to here and we're going to also from pages import the product list page. Yep. And then we can have our pass. I don't think I want all of this stuff. Self response. And I think that should be okay. Let's double check because I don't think I need all of this stuff. Just had to mute a second there. Let's put this in for now. And what we'll do is we'll say that our links is going to be equal to and then we can do follow all links. Nope, not that. And then when we return this is our 2 items, so we can do our product link, or what did I call it over here? Yep. So response.followAll is going to construct the URLs for us, so we don't need to worry about that. And then we can actually use this callback for again, because we're calling back on pass product, which I'm going to call over here instead, this function, pass product. So I can say pass product is going to be this. I don't think I need the 2 item in there. I think it's just as it is. I'm having it like so. Cool. Right, let's, I think this is probably gonna work. We'll see. Let's get out of here. Reopen my terminal because I closed it. And then do Scrapy crawl products. Okay. Let me open up my other project that I was doing this earlier. And yeah, see, I had it. Oh, I didn't have the 2 item. Okay, fine. You do need that. Okay. We can see right away we have a lot of requests being made and some information coming back, and that's because I've got the wrong URL in here. But when we change the URL to the correct one in our spider over here, like this, and then now we're going to be calling back the right thing, we can start this again. I'm going to do an output to products.json file here. Let's see where we get to. So we can see lots of requests being made, and that's because I have concurrent requests up to 16. You can go higher than that, but it will rate limit you at some point. I was like API. We can see that this is flicking by. Now this is using whatever Zite API thinks is the best option for both every option basically. So I've just told it, you know, give me the response. So it's going to give me the HTTP response, and if that doesn't work, we can tell it to use the browser response. We can see that we're getting a lot of product information back here, and if I was to go to products.json, after looking at this, you can see we have 182 items, and there we go, all here, scraped out nice and neatly. Now obviously we would go ahead and build a pipeline for all this information, but you can start to see now that with keeping this as simple as possible and splitting out to the page objects, it's very easy now for me to add in another property. I can just add it in here and I'll have no issues because it's all going to be handled through this. And this is really kind of like the crux of it. Being able to split your code out like this and handle it in a way that, you know, is all split out is just going to make your life so much easier when you're managing your projects. And when you've got projects with lots of spiders and lots of different information, it's just a much better way of doing it. So that's kind of what I wanted to show you, because I really wanted to get some content out there about Scrapy Poet and WebPoet to really understand why it's not been as adopted widely outside of Zeit, probably, really. And I kind of got the impression that I think people just didn't know about it, because after I spent a bit of time with it, I could really see the power and the use cases for it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it there. I think we've been going for about half an hour, which is absolutely fine. Don't forget about Extract Summit. It's coming up next week. I'm super excited. There'll be lots of content on our channel here about it, as well as the live stream I told you for day 2, which will be on our page somewhere. There'll be a link put in Discord for that, so make sure you keep your eyes open. But I'll be posting a lot of stuff from there as much as I can, as well as doing my talks, etc., etc. And again, that big announcement on day 2 that's coming from us, which is going to be something that I'm very excited to share, and something I know that our engineers have been working very, very hard on. So I'm really excited to share that. So thank you very much for joining me in this one, and there won't be one next week because I'll be away, and we'll be doing the summit on the Thursday, so that'll be covering that one off. But make sure you subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it. So thank you very much, everybody, and I will see you again soon.